Hi, welcome to Effective Technology Used in the Classroom, the Theoretical Backgrounds lecture. Today we're going to take a look at some of the theoretical background behind using technology in your classroom. These can be used to frame how you use technology, whether it be a type of technology or how to use a particular tool or resource in your classroom. The theory we're going to use to guide us is the SAMR model. SAMR stands for Substitution, Augmentation, Modification, and Redefinition. We're going to go through this, and I'm going to provide some things to illustrate what each one means and what it might look like in your classroom. We have a picture of a typewriter here to illustrate substitution. When you think about it, if you're just typing a paper, printing it off, and handing it in, whether it be on Microsoft Word or Google Docs, there's no real benefit if that's all you're doing. Even over handwriting, it's just a matter of convenience. It's not going to improve the learning at all. It's not to say that using a computer for word processing or Microsoft Office is a bad thing. It's just saying that it's not changing the learning at all. Augmentation. This is a picture of a word processor, and I remember using these when I was in late high school, early college, and we used a Smith Corona. I think I owned a Brother word processor, and the cool thing about this for me at the time was that I could type a paper and then do the spell check rather than starting a paper over or using the corrective tape. So there's a little bit of benefit to what I was doing. Modification. Technology allows for significant task redesign. Now, you could use Google Apps, for instance, a word processing program like Google Docs or even Microsoft Word, for the two previous steps or the tasks that fall in the two previous steps. But one cool thing about apps like Google Docs and Google Drive is you can also create shared folders for collaborative purposes. For instance, this is a folder, and each of my students has one in each class, and you can see that I have my overall drive, one of my classes, and although it's blurred out, this is the name of the folder is one of my students, and they labeled it in terms of the class they're in with me. And once a week, every student writes a weekly reflection about what they learned this week, what went well, what they had trouble with, and where they're going to go next. So in other words, I'm trying to get them to engage in a bit of reflection and metacognition. And since the folder is shared with me, every reflection they create automatically goes into the shared folder, so I have automatic access to it. They can also create student projects so that, or group projects, so they can work with each other on slides and so forth. This is not something that used to be possible. It used to be, even if it wasn't printing it, they'd have to email the document, or if they were working on a group project, that file would have to get passed around via email or USB stick from person to person until you get a final product. So this really kind of alters the dynamic of the lessons and the way they're working. After modification, we have redefinition. Technology allows for new learning opportunities previously inconceivable. Things like field trips in the classroom, where instead of going out to a location that might be out of state and there's a lot of file work and it costs a lot of money, you could have a guest speaker come to your room. You could do a virtual field trip. The example I like to use for this one, we have Google Hangouts, which is used for video conferencing, for instance, for the field trips and the guest speakers. But one thing I use in my classroom is the Google Plus. So for example, in my class, or in my Google Plus account rather, I have communities I created, and I have a community for my psychology courses, and each student is a member of it. It's contained within itself, so only my students can access it, or people I give permission to. And what they do is they use it as a social network, a safe one since I'm monitoring it, and they share and collaborate resources. So this is something in terms of using social media that some teachers do it, but a lot of people don't do it, and it is something where they're using it as enrichment. They do this simply, hey, I found a great resource, check it out, or I found an interesting video relative to the course, and I usually start out giving them a couple homework points for this or extra credit, and then it always ends up that they take it out on themselves and really take it off. So this is something that, I think there's benefits to it, but using social media is not something that, although I think in some circles it's well known, in some areas it's not, it's kind of an untapped resource. So to wrap this up, I would say use SAMR, use the theory as a guide. It's not a be-all, end-all. Just with higher level thinking, people think that with Bloom's taxonomy, for instance, that you always have to go for the, evaluation and the really high level thought. But if you don't have that base, if they don't know the terms, if they don't know the basics, then you're going to have trouble reaching that higher level. It's okay to just substitute or use an augmentation level tool at times. You don't need to do every time. And on that note, something to consider is that evolution happens. What is new and revolutionary today may be commonplace tomorrow. When that word processor came out, my brother word processor, I thought it was the coolest thing in the world because I could check things before I typed them up. And now if someone put that in front of me, I'd probably just start laughing, about how I remember this. So, as these technologies evolve today, BYOD, bring your own device, and using things like Kahoot in the classroom, they're really cool, but they're becoming more and more commonplace. So things are going to kind of slide down the SAMR scale. In terms of going all the way, you don't have to, once again, be in the redefinition realm all the time. And the other thing on that note is you don't have to use technology with every little thing. One of my best lessons involves a tree, a ficus tree I have in my room. Not a lot of technology there. But don't be intimidated to try new things. Do your research. Check out the tool, see how it works, check out how it's going to work for the students. Take a risk, but it's okay to do a little bit, get your feet wet, get comfortable, and then try something new. I think you'll find the benefits pay off in the end. I look forward to talking to you in the next lesson. Thanks. Bye.